Senate Democratic leader Chuck Schumer sent a letter to President Trump urging Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell to take up House-passed legislation to require background checks.
And in moments, gun control advocates are rallying at the state capitol in Wisconsin ahead of a special legislative session on gun restrictions. I sat down with a diverse group of Wisconsin gun owners about where they draw the line between their guns and reform. We traveled to southeastern Wisconsin and assembled a panel of 8 gun owners, men, women, Democrats, Republicans, ranging in age from 19 to 67. Among them, a retired police officer, current school superintendent, and a nursing home activities director, all with differing opinions. Who here thinks we need changes in laws?
Why? Why do we need changes in laws? That's silly.
I think there needs to be some changes from the universal background check, and I know there was a 10-year ban on assault rifles. I don't know why we need those guns. If people want to shoot them, maybe there's a range where they can go and they can check out the gun, shoot them, enjoy that.
Larry, you have more than 100 guns. Talk to me about that, because that seems unusual to me.
I shoot a lot of target shooting, shoot competitively, shoot for sports, for hunting. Each one requires a different firearm.
Brad, how many guns do you have?
9.
For what?
Hunting, home defense, and just for fun.
Bob, what do you think about people who think that the issue is too many guns? Too many people with too many guns?
You know, the amount of guns I don't think is a problem. I think if you are using them for what they're intended for, there's no problem. I think it's that people don't care anymore.
Let's talk about red flag laws. Who thinks that they're a good idea?
I do, to a point.
Okay, talk to me about that.
It really comes down to the person who's going to be calling you in, saying, hey, this person's talking about robbing something or doing a mass shooting or committing harm to him or herself. I can see a point the law enforcement stepping in.
Do you think that if well executed, these red flag laws, would that be something you would support?
If you had red flag laws, if the individual is calling wolf, as long as there's some pretty severe consequences for somebody that goes through that motion, and then whatever the legal expense and everything for that person to get his rights back are paid by that person, you know, I could accept that to some level.
It's kind of scary, like, you know, somebody that has mental illness and they have a gun, and what are they capable of? So I think I could get behind it.
Talk to me about how you thought about that problem, guns and safety in schools. Do you think about this issue about school shootings?
I think it'd be good, like, if they did, like, every 6 months training or every year training for teachers, put guns in their hands.
Putting guns in teachers' hands scares me because I have teachers that don't want to use the EpiPen if they had to, right? And now we're going to ask them to carry a gun, and potentially what they do with that gun could affect their whole life, right? They could shoot a student by accident.
We need to do something more than what we're doing now. I know everybody doesn't like the idea of firearms in schools, but a trained professional, something to take that temptation away. If I decide I'm going to go on a mass shooting, I'm going to go someplace where I know they're not going to shoot back at me.
So you're not worried about more people having guns? None of you, that's not a concern for anybody here?
As long as they're trained and go through hunter safety or something like that, no.
I want to talk to you about the decision that some companies have made. Walmart, Dick's, in the wake of shootings at their properties or with weapons that have been bought from them. What do you all think of that?
Walmart stopped selling them. You can go to Fleet Farm. It's the same. People that want to get them and will get them, they're still going to get them.
So now this is their way out to say they can be the hero. We're going to get rid of all this stuff. Well, they were probably looking for a way to get rid of it anyway.
And they still sell alcohol, which...
Yeah.
Culturally, there's a shift, right? Big companies are saying, look, we're not going to support this. It may not stop things, but we got to do something, right? And it's little pieces that may have a bigger impact at some point.
Let me ask you about a proposal that's been floated out there by a presidential candidate or more about gun buybacks. Who thinks that's a good idea?
I bought mine for $1 million, so if they're willing to pay me that.
Yeah. Let me ask you about the election. How big an issue for all of you is this? So if this is in your top 3, put up your hand. Okay. Is it anybody's top one? So
As far as
biggest, the thing that would most determine who you vote for.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Don't mess with my rights to protect my family by trying to take away my firearms.
It's a really interesting conversation. It was a lot longer than that. It had a lot of nuance. These were all gun owners. All of them were gun owners. Some of them had one gun. One guy had 100 guns. Another guy had 9 guns. So they were all gun owners. They all see themselves as responsible gun owners, and really the undercurrent of the theme there was that they felt the media misrepresents what they do. They were saying, so you never cover the fact that we've got our kids shooting skeet and they're really well trained on guns and things like that. So they had a bit of a beef with the media, but it was a good nuanced conversation.
What was your biggest takeaway?
That responsible gun owners who would never do the things that they see bad people doing reported on TV don't understand why the association is with them. In other words, they think that mass murderers are as bad as anybody thinks mass murderers are, and they get on their back feet. They get defensive about the idea that they are associated. Their ownership of a weapon is associated with crime and mass killings and things like that.
So why not disassociate themselves with the NRA?
Yeah, and a lot of them didn't feel that the NRA necessarily speaks for them. These are people who are, they're sports enthusiasts, they're hunting enthusiasts, but a lot of them did say it was about self-defense, and that, disarming responsible gun owners is, you're not going to disarm the bad gun owners. That was their view, that if you put restrictions on gun owners who are responsible and don't do these things, all you'll have is fewer people who are responsible with their guns. Restrictions
doesn't mean you're taking away their guns necessarily.
Correct. Yeah.
Regulation doesn't mean, nope, turn them in tomorrow.
But a lot of the media that supports gun ownership does make that association, that as soon as you start with some restrictions, it's a slippery slope, one that sort of goes against the Second Amendment. Look, people, we hear what we believe to be true, and I do appreciate that they hosted a good discussion and we got started.
Without a doubt. Coming up next, Trump is